Okay, so remember that part in Super Paper Mario where Mario is forced to go to debtor's prison? Yeah, weird stuff. Anyway, so how does this section work? Mimi says you owe her 1 million rubies for breaking the vase and tells you that you're gonna have to do hard labor to work it off. If you enter this door on the right, you get this room, where every time you hit this block, you get 1 ruby. Oh, and don't you even think about looking away from the screen and just mashing the button while you do something else, because you need to make sure you're not getting hit by the motivational spark. So with your complete focus devoted to this task, you can earn rubies at a rate of a little under 2 rubies per second. Now, if you do some calculations here, you might notice that this will take way too fucking long. Back out in the hallway, this door requires a secret passcode. So perhaps there is a mystery afoot. So you do a little snooping, and you do a little snooping, and you do a little snooping, and you find this guy in the middle left room who tells you he'll let you in on a little secret if you give him 100 rubies. Whoa, a secret! I'm looking for one of those. So you go back upstairs and you spend another beautiful minute of your life on this planet hitting this block to get 100 rubies, and you give this guy your money and he calls you a gullible dipshit and tells you the passcode is 5963. So you go back upstairs while chanting 5963, 5963, because God forbid you're gonna write down a number. You plug in the passcode and now you're in the VIP hamster wheel room where you can earn rubies at a rate of like 30 rubies per second. That's pretty good, right? Now, at this point, if you're me, an idiot baby child renting this game from Blockbuster for a week in 2007, you go, oh, well, I guess this is the game now. That doesn't seem very fun, but what do I know about the world? And you never finish Super Paper Mario and never see that part where Tippy asks Mario if he wants to become Catholic. But as a world-weary adult, you can use the incredible power of context clues to determine that this children's video game is probably not asking you to run in a hamster wheel for, oh my god, dude. So you do a little more like snooping and a little more, like snooping and a little more, this guy tells you he can smell? Okay, rubies up ahead, but you don't have one of them slenderizing pixels he's heard about to get past the barriers. So you go and find one of them slenderizing pixels he's heard about to get past the barriers, but you need another secret passcode to get in this secret bank vault. God damn. So you do a little snooping. So you find this guy who tells you he has some very delectable info for you. Now, usually he only dishes out details for 10,001 rubies, but for you, killer, 10,000. So what you're gonna wanna do at this point is get back in the hamster wheel and stick a crescent wrench on your Wiimote. Then you're gonna wanna make yourself a peanut butter and banana sandwich. I have wheat bread and creamy peanut butter this week, but don't be afraid to have fun with it. Maybe try some nice rye or a sourdough, get some fancy farmer's market peanut butter, whatever you're into. Now that you have your 10,000 rubies, your new best friend tells you the passcode is 412628816. 412628816. 412628816. This allows you to open the vault and get the 1 million rubies inside and pay off your debt and finish the level. You can also pay off the debt entirely with the blocks and hamster wheel if you want. That sounds fun. And yeah, as far as I'm aware, the only way to get the passcodes in this section is to pay these guys. So if you're doing a playthrough of this game without looking anything up, you will just have to spend several minutes hitting the blocks and running in the hamster wheel. All of the contemporary GameFAQs walkthroughs about this game are just like, yeah, I don't know, this part is bullshit and I hate it. Here are the passcodes. It's kind of adorable. Okay, what about this part? So hey, can you shut up? I'm trying to make a fucking video. So you set out from Cragboy Village and you do some video game and then you come across a dead end with 3 mysterious blocks. There is no apparent path forward. So you walk all the way back to Cragbag Village and now this guy is there. And he tells you that if you find 3 blocks, something good will happen if you hit them like this. Left, right, middle. Hey, I've seen 3 blocks! So you walk all the way back to the 3 blocks. Don't forget to switch to Peach to get across this part. And you hit them like a left, right, middle, and a pipe appears. Wow, epic. That sort of resembled a puzzle. So you do a little bit more video game, and shortly after find another set of 3 blocks. And so of course you hit them like a left, right, middle, and nothing happens. So you walk all the goddamn way back to Crugbug Village. And now this guy really gives you the runaround. He says, listen, pal, it seems like you're not having a fun time playing Super Paper Mario for Nintendo Wii right now, but check it out. I can tell you how to proceed, but I need you to ask me really niceys. At this point, a keyboard appears on screen, and you need to literally type out the word please, letter by letter. Then he says, sorry, bitch, that's not good enough. Do it again. So you do it again. And then he asks again. And at this point, you're thinking, all right, Rule of 3 should be kicking in right about now. Rule of 3 does not kick in right about now. You need to type out please 5 times. Once you've done this, he says, all right, I'll tell you the secret, but you're gonna wanna write it down. So you prepare your quill and parchment, and he says, great, next time you see 3 blocks, hit them like this. Middle, right, left, left, right, middle, right, left, right, right, middle, right, right, left, middle, middle, left, 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 right, left, 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 middle, middle. How does that one Weezer song go? I can't fit her penis in my mouth. Now, at this point, if you're me, a college freshman replaying Super Paper Mario at your parents' house during the summer of 2014, you go, oh, this game is fucking bullshit, and you go get high, and you still never finish Super Paper Mario and see that part where Luigi loses his virginity at the DMV. And it goes on like this. These two are the most memorable and egregious, but Super Paper Mario is filled with this stuff. Moments where characters ask you to complete some tedious task in order to continue, moments where you walk across an empty room or watch a vehicle cutscene for like a full minute, moments where the joke seems to just be like, isn't it funny that we're making you do this stupid fucking thing? So what's going on with this stuff? Like, thematically, I mean. Why does Super Paper Mario seem to be so interested in establishing this adversarial relationship with the player? Why does it love to waste your time? Look, despite whatever inflammatory title I came up with to get you to click on this is not a video about how I think Super Paper Mario is a bullshit game for assholes. But this is weird, right? Am I the only one who thinks this is, like, weird to put in your silly cartoon animal game for babies? Like, it's not like I'm sitting here like, whoa, this video game does something besides be fun on purpose. It's not a new idea for a video game to make you feel an emotion besides coked out bliss, and for that to perhaps be imbued with thematic meaning. But why this stuff and why here? Well, I think the most simple answer is, funny? Lol LMAO? This is a comedy game after all. There is a sort of hilarious audacity in putting on a straight face and telling the player that they need to type out the word please 5 times, or that they need to spend a full minute walking through this empty void, or that they need to replay a bunch of shit they already did, and by the way, that is going to include walking through the empty void again. Like, this is a very fun game to tell people that you've been playing. Like, yeah, I talked to this door and he made me take an autism test. It fucking sucked. Isn't that hilarious? In an interview with Nintendo Power near the release of this game, producer Kensuke Tanabe said,
I would like people to be creative and try switching between 2D and 3D and all kinds of places that they could think of in the game. I think you'll have a completely new and fresh experience. Sometimes, I bet you'll end up laughing, thinking how ridiculous some of the things are. It would be amazing if you giggle your way through the entire game.
So, well, I mean, there you have it, folks. They wanted you to giggle your way through the entire game. Now, you could say, well, Super Paper Mario is a game about grief and love lost and impending apocalypse. You must do these tedious tasks while you sit with the weight of the world on your shoulders. You labor under harsh conditions, not unlike those that await the young gamer wrenching that Wiimote.
I like a story in Chapter 2 where you look for a person who lives in a large mansion. On the way, there is an event that puts Mario and his friends in debt. They are going to have a hard time in order to pay back their debt. Maybe you will get a little fed up accomplishing this, but I hope you can share this hardship with Mario and his friends.
So that's a way to look at it. You are sharing these hardships with Mario and his friends, and that can perhaps be part of a larger emotional connection to the story. And, yeah, I don't know, sure, that's true. I think this is a fine interpretation of what's happening here, I suppose, but it doesn't really speak to me. Like, I don't know, Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door for Nintendo GameCube is also about those things, and that game only has one overly long, tedious section where the joke is on you, the player, for having to do it. I don't know, man. People talk about Super Paper Mario like it's Requiem for a Dream for some reason. I really don't get it. They go to hell, dude! It's so fucked up! While I was playing this game for this video, I was constantly asking myself, like, okay, is this game trying to say something, or am I just impatient? Because I think when a game puts you in debtor's prison and makes you spend several real-life minutes running in a hamster wheel for money, there's a pretty clear connection between gameplay and themes there. Whomst among us has not spent many real-life minutes running in a hamster wheel for money? It's sort of darkly funny to make a player waste their own time on this cartoon version of working a job while in debt and incarcerated. But this gets a lot murkier as the game goes on. Because, like, I'm sorry, Super Paper Mario is just kind of a tedious game, isn't it? Switch to Luigi to get up here. Now switch to Peach to get across here. Walk all the way across this hallway to get this key. Now walk all the way back. Oh, did you forget about Chudzo, the liquor store clerk pixel? He helps you get a cold one for Gandalf, so he tells you where the next pure heart is. Better switch to it. It does kind of make you insane to view the game through this lens. Like, okay, the hamster wheel thing and hitting the blocks in this specific order, no matter your interpretation, those are things that are pretty loudly about making you do something absurdly tedious, but when do you stop allowing for that interpretive cherry? Like in Chapter 7, when you talk to these three ladies who just send you back to replay parts of the level that you just played, is that the game calling back to the established themes of constantly being degraded and forced to do menial, tedious tasks by belligerent people with unclear motives? Or is it just like the game is padded because they ran out of time? When I play the samurai level and they're like, you are going to have to fight 100 of these guys, and then they wait until you fought like 20 of those guys before saying psych, is that, do people like that? When I go in this area that looks like a Super Mario Bros. Underground level type beat, and I find where the warp zone would be, and I go in the pipe that would take me to World 4 in Super Mario Bros., and it warps me back out to the start, and I have to go through the whole section again, is that a joke on me for having that intuition in the first place? Did they make you climb the ladders this slow to fuck with me specifically? Allow me to make this slightly an advisable rhetorical maneuver. Does Super Paper Mario think video games are a waste of time? Consider Francis. If we're asking, what does the text of Super Paper Mario have to say about the hobby of video games and the people who play them? Francis is one very unkind answer offered to us. You remember Francis? The bad guy from Chapter 3? His whole thing is he's a loser nerd who likes to complain about video games on the internet and women find him repulsive. And he's like a Paper Mario fan. Like, this character has Paper Mario merch and talks about 1,000-year door characters all the time and shit. I don't know, man. Like, low-key, are we far enough out from the release of this game that I can say that this feels kind of mean-spirited and lame without people calling me a killjoy? I remember this feeling very novel when this game came out, you know? This Mario game is referencing internet culture, it's fucking crazy. But looking back, this is like kind of embarrassing, right? Like, oh, people are complaining about the direction of our series online. Let's make a whole chapter where we depict them as this lizard that sucks. Wait, are chameleons lizards? I think they're lizards. I see. They're actually a distinctive and highly specialized clade of old world lizards with 200 species described as of June 2015. The members of this family are best known for their distinct range of colors being capable of, like, it's a very 2000s webcomic thing to do. I will depict my haters as the fat loser idiot keyboard warrior. So that's a lens through which you can interpret Super Paper Mario. They make you do a bunch of shit that sucks because they think video games are for loser nerds who get zero bitches and like to do tedious, boring shit like JRPG fights. But that can't be true because they wanted you to giggle your way through the entire game. Fuck. Okay, seriously though, I have been sort of jokingly referencing these Nintendo Power and Nintendo of Europe interviews because, well, they are advertisements mediated through a translator. The answers mostly boil down to, we hope you will enjoy playing Super Paper Mario on Nintendo Wii. What? No, switching development over from the GameCube to the Wii wasn't a problem, it was good actually. And I think it would be a bit naive to assume that they offer any deep insight into what the writing staff and English translation staff, let's be real, thought about the way that gamers relate to video games and their developers. So here is what I actually think. Super Paper Mario is a very obviously padded game. If you cut all of the repetitive, tedious nonsense out of it, you'd probably have like an 8-hour game on your hands. I think they likely lost a lot of dev time to having to surprise port this thing over to the Wii and add motion controls and shit to it. I think also the people working on it were creative and had a sense of humor about things. Like, well, we need to stretch this thing out. What are some funny ways to do that? What are some maybe evocative or quietly unsettling ways to do that? Given we need to get this thing out the door, and we don't want people running reviews about how it's too short and not worth the money, what are some ways to pad it out that still feel within the sort of carnival macabre comedy spirit of Paper Mario? And I think also they were kind of annoyed about gamers online. I mean, who can blame them, really? A little bit tasteless to air it out in your game for toddlers, in my opinion, but, like, I get it. I understand. Anyway, sorry for the confusion earlier. I just looked it up, and the song actually goes...
Don't care about that.